Cooper, say hello. Introduce the podcast. What you were talking right before I hit record, and you certainly talk quite a lot on what everyone's about to hear. Well, how's everyone doing?
Hey, guys.
Long time no talk.
They say very sheepishly.
I'm glad to be back, and I'm sure you're all glad to have us back. And it's wonderful. So you're here to listen to a long-promised podcast that we recorded in the car with one Mr. Jon Schneck on January 6th, 2024. Now, it's currently February 1st. There's very little reason why it took me a month to finish this episode.
Someone was playing Mario.
Well, it was two things. One, Jessica will explain in a minute. When we record this in the car and it sounds a little tinny, it doesn't sound the best. And I was like, maybe I can fix this up. But then when I actually sat down to do it, I was like, no, I'll do this later. Then I bought Super Mario Wonder and I did that for a month. But now it's done and it's ready to listen to, except the audio is unimproved. You're going to hear it exactly as it was recorded. But it's like you're sitting there in the car with us. And there's a lot of great stuff in here. John's going to talk about when Reliant K lived in Hollywood during the recording of Five Score. He's going to talk about other things that I'm not remembering. He's got a very interesting story from that time about going to try to see a certain concert. I don't want to spoil it. So anyway, Jessica, tell the people what it was like the morning that we recorded this and what we recorded it on and what we tried as far as doing this.
So what happened was that was a very busy time. And I always feel like bad for saying like, oh, we're so busy because everybody's busy. But what happened was we flew in on the 4th, which was technically the 5th, because we got in after midnight, and I had to work the next day, that Friday, and I had ordered, like, before we got on the plane, Danny was like, okay, we're doing this, and I was like, okay, cool, let me just, like, go on Amazon. I don't really have a lot of time to research lavs that can, like, hook up to the phone, so let me just get the best rated ones on Amazon, because we need them to come fast. I can't, like, do a bunch of research, get whatever the best ones are, and they potentially not show up in time. So I'm like, let me grab those. And I picked the ones that had the absolute best reviews. And they sound terrible.
It'll sound like what it sounds like.
I don't know why they have the best reviews.
It sounds like audio.
Yeah. And they
definitely you can hear what
yeah,
we're saying.
They came in, late Friday evening. So then I didn't have time to test them out. So what we did what we did Saturday morning.
But like I said, you're going to hear this. This is a raw, unfiltered experience of picking up Jon Schneck from the airport the morning of the big Hollywood Palladium MXPX show. And then we drove him from the airport to In-N-Out and then to the Palladium. And that's what you're going to hear. If you want to hear the uncut version of this conversation, you can go over and join on patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins Pod. You're going to miss from this edit, you're going to miss important stuff like us talking about the current state of Bed Bath & Beyond and how they closed, but they reopened on the internet. You're going to miss me talking about how a steakhouse we drove past still has its COVID patio up. And
oh, wow. Just really
those are the things
content.
Those are the things that I held back from you, our free feed listeners. So if you want to hear those things, you got to go over to patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins Pod. So Sadie Hawkins Pod. And I'm just wondering, like, we haven't DM'd or anything with John since the night of the show. So he's probably like, oh, I guess they figured that podcast turned out like crap and they never released it. No, I just, when I'm home, I just want to play Mario. I give all my energy to Cooper and my job. And now we're out of that funk. We're out of that cloud. We had a super busy time for the last couple of months. And we are ready to get back to it. So after you hear this, we are going to be back on our regular schedule. Will we be doing Kids on the Street for our next regular episode? Maybe. But we will definitely have a regular episode coming up in the next week or two. We won't let it become another month. We're ready to get back on schedule. We take you guys seriously. What is it I say in my job as an accountant when a vendor is looking for payment and I've been told by my accounting manager that we don't have liquid cash right now? We take the need to give you a podcast very seriously, and your podcast feed will be filling up as soon as possible. So anything else you need to tell everybody?
I don't think so.
What's your outro? Say your outro here.
Stay safe and healthy out there, and we'll catch you next time.
Will you stop talking? I thought he wanted to podcast.
I was actually right on cue.
He was getting it out before we started. Well, we talked about really good stuff now. There we go. Hello. I wanted Cooper to be a part of the podcast.
You want to rehash all the stuff we
we'll
just
rehash
talked about?
everything we talked about. But I knew as soon as the microphone goes on, I'd be like, the authenticity of talking would go away.
Nah, we'll pretend they're not on.
It's going to take me a minute to do that. Plus, we're still leaving LAX. So I'll just say, I'll do the artifice of an introduction that we just picked up Jon Schneck from the airport.
Yep.
We didn't do any kind of preamble. I thought about it. I was like, oh, we got to get food. We got to get breakfast. We got to figure out where we're picking you up. So we thought about doing like a preamble of this is what we're doing today, but we didn't do it.
Okay.
Jessica took an Instagram story. Can she share that?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. You can share that now. So anyway, we're here. How was your flight?
Wait, an Instagram story of us in the car?
Well, no, she didn't film us yet. She took an Instagram story of her in the back seat driving, and she put in "Be Your Man," and it said, "Guess who we're picking up from the airport?" And no other reference that it is specifically you.
What a terrible piece of art that is.
We talked about it at length. I don't remember everything we said.
The Stain Unreliant Case record.
No, it's an important song because it bridges the two halves of
it
that
does.
record.
Yeah, we made it into something.
Yeah, they took that, and I remember you said it's like after your song, it confirmed that no other member of Reliant K would ever write a song again.
Yeah, that's true. I am the reason that all you get is good songs now. Yeah. So you're welcome.
And that was before we did Last the Lost the Lease.
Yeah, that's actually a great song.
Yeah, and Jon sent us like his demo.
Oh, cool.
The one set because he followed the rule, because your memories of that experience of like everyone being given the assignment, go write a 1 minute song and bring it back.
Yep.
And you were like, I was the only one who followed the instructions of write a 1 minute funny song.
Right.
And Ethan also, well, I guess Ethan also did it. But then what we learned was, and I don't know if you remembered this at the time you told us, Jon wrote hi Cooper. Jon wrote a sincere song, but he wrote it in the 1 minute allotment.
Right.
And then it was fleshed out longer.
Then we were like, oh, this is actually a really good song.
Yeah.
We gotta make it work. Yeah. That's still one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah.
It was so cool to hear the demo as well.
I don't know that I've ever heard. I guess I probably did at some point.
Yeah, I don't remember because it's years ago now, but I think Jon might have said it was just him or something.
Yeah,
it was
probably.
Just,
He probably did it at home and sent it around, and we were like, oh, this is actually pretty good. We should make this into a song.
I hope we can... Did they get rid of... Sorry, now I'm talking LAX. There used to be a cut-through, but I don't know if they got rid of it because of construction.
This is pretty wild.
This is really bad.
The amount of traffic that's happening right now.
We were talking about it, so let's talk about the LAX for a second. It's this. What is it? The second biggest city in the country, and it's got the smallest airport.
Is that true?
I mean, I don't know if statistically that is absolutely true, but it just feels like it, right?
Yep.
Like whatever, if it's the second or third biggest city, because I don't think it's bigger than New York, but this airport is so tiny. I guess more like the actual, what would you call this? The human logistical side of it. It's just this tiny little concourse with these roads that go straight through the terminals, but every other airport is designed well where like the concourse area is away from the runways, so you build a larger concourse. And they should have done that generations ago, but instead they're doing all this construction to kind of like make it supposedly easier to come through here, but I don't think it's gonna work.
I mean, it's got to be really logistically hard to redo something at this scale.
Right. The Olympics are coming next year.
Oh, that's why they're doing all of this.
That's going to be wild.
It says it's going to take us 16 minutes to get out of the airport. And then it'll take 40 minutes to get you to where you're going.
Everyone will have turned this off if we just podcast for 16 minutes in LAX traffic.
Originally, I was thinking, because we're going to In-N-Out, because you haven't eaten in hours, in like 8 hours or 10?
So I woke up at 3:30 today. I went to bed at midnight, woke up at 3:30, so I'm on 3.5 hours of sleep. I dozed on the plane, but everybody else worked. Everyone else flew in yesterday, but I had to work on Friday, so so I couldn't come in. So I had to do the day of, which was not ideal, but they're building the, I don't know if it's East Coast or Central Coast In-N-Out headquarters in Nashville.
Okay.
And so there's already people freaking out about In-N-Out coming to.
That's what I said to Jessica. I told her that they're opening on the East Coast finally, but I didn't know what city specifically.
Yeah, their headquarters will be in Franklin, Tennessee.
Okay.
So we're supposed to get one in 2025 or 2026, I think, is when it's going to happen.
They've been in Texas for a decade.
Yeah.
And I don't think when people are like, some people are like, not upset, but some people are like, I can't believe they're finally opening on the East Coast when they said they wouldn't for years. I'm like, they've been in like Texas. Like that's the middle of the country for at least a decade.
I try not to get into the hype of things like this, but it's something that I can't ever have, so I might as well.
Right.
When we played when we were young, I was going to get In-N-Out in Vegas, but I never got up the energy to leave the hotel casino.
Yeah. How was that? I had no interest in going to. I had no interest in the experience of that style of festival at this point in our lives.
It was a event for sure. Mm-hmm. It was really cool seeing all the bands and seeing a lot of old friends. Mm-hmm. But man, it was a to-do. I don't know that I would have been able to watch enough bands to get my money out of that.
Yeah.
Especially if you went in the morning and then you stayed for Green Day. I mean, that's just so many hours.
Long. Yeah.
But you could come and go. So.
They did allow that? Okay.
Yeah.
The last festival we did like that was Back to the Beach.
Yeah.
The ska one. But it wasn't that big. It was an all-day thing, but the grounds weren't that. I mean, I don't know how large the grounds were for when we were young, but it was a much more doable thing all day.
Yeah, they had 3 main staging areas, like the main stage, the B stage, and then a C stage, and they were both double stages. But it was pretty cool. Some of the overhead shots I saw on Instagram after the festival, it was just so many people there.
So how has the last year of festivals been going? Because there was the Ohio is for Lovers.
Yep.
Furnace Fest.
Yep.
And When We Were Young.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm trying to remember. Is for Lovers was interesting. I took Liam. We kind of road tripped it up there. That was with Jimmy Eat World and who else played that? Hawthorne Heights, obviously, because it's their deal. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was kind of the first big festival that we had done in a long time. Mm-hmm. And then we did Furnace Fest. That was with Anberlin and MXPX.
Right.
That was really cool. I hadn't seen either of those guys in a long time. I think that was Steven's last show with Anberlin. He announced that he's going to retire on the road.
That's upsetting Cooper. He's like, what? I just got into them.
He finishes emergency.
Yeah, exactly.
How were the festivals compared to the Yamiya tour?
I mean, it's definitely different. When you do something like a tour when you haven't played in a long time, people are really excited just to come see you play.
Right.
But the festivals they were still really good crowds. I think that the people that came and saw our shows were still really into it. So
Did it feel like an appropriate way to follow up the year of them? So I was just wondering, not appropriate, that's not the right word, but did it feel like a oh, Cooper. I'll wait until... Do we have another bottle? He must be hungry. I guess we didn't know to bring him an extra bottle.
If it's
he had 4 ounces on the way here.
Yeah, he's usually...
Yeah, it doesn't bother me unless you're just worried about the audio.
Yeah, just a little bit. I wasn't worried about him gabbing, but when he started going, then I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
He might fall asleep again.
Okay. When he was just kind of gabbing, I was like, that's cute. That makes it organic. That's fine. It was just when he started going,
yeah. Oh man, there was this kid on the plane who, like, I have a lot of empathy for, babies on planes and stuff because I have 3 kids and
right.
The dad, it was a dad and a baby by themselves, and the dad just didn't know how to handle the fact that everyone was probably really upset with him,
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, I felt so bad for the dad, more so than I felt for the people that were sitting next to him.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's rough, doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
How's this line? Trying to look. Because if it's super long, we'll move on. That's pretty long. Okay,
Yeah, we
we'll
can
move
just
on.
go to anyone. I know there's one pretty close to the venue, too.
There is,
on
yeah.
Sunset. Like a mile away.
Oh yeah, by the high school. So we'll just go to the venue now.
Yeah, we can just hit that one.
Okay.
It was cool flying in. There was another plane like right next to us,
Mm-hmm.
and then downtown LA, and then the Hollywood sign in the background. It was a pretty cool view.
I haven't had a view in an airplane in a long time because Jessica likes the aisle seat,
Oh yeah,
especially with the baby now. She needs to be able to come and go, and
Yep.
so I can't. We don't put a stranger between us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And everyone I sit next to, no one wants their window open. Everyone closes their window.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's sort of like the dealer's choice there. Whoever's sitting there can either open or close it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So anyway, what I was going to ask you before Cooper started screaming was,
Yeah.
did doing like a year of, as far as Reliant K playing live and you playing with Reliant K, did doing a kind of a year of a handful of festivals feel like a follow up that works for after doing a year of going back on tour for the first time in forever? Like, or did you want to do more? Like, just doing a couple of shows and having them be the whole big rigmarole of a festival? How did that feel?
Yeah, I think it was mostly logistical,
Mm-hmm.
I think there was some talks about doing tours with different bands, and just nothing ever really worked out
Okay.
with timing, whether it was with one of the guys in the band or if the money worked, So
Yeah, I remember.
it's just hard. It's hard to tour
Right
now. It's really hard.
And this was the year of like the inflation
yeah,
going crazy for bands trying to tour.
right, yeah,
And I've heard plenty of interviews where people are like, we're literally not making any money on anything doing this.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, venues are taking more money than they have. Higher merch fees, ticket fees are the thing that sucks about being a working artist right now is that tickets a lot of times will go on the resale market.
Right.
And so the ticketing companies are the ones making a lot of money because
Right.
they're selling the tickets very quickly, then they're reselling the tickets very quickly,
Right.
and the concert goer is paying, like in Taylor Swift's, world, 10x what the ticket costs,
Right.
So then they're coming to shows with less money to buy merch.
Mm-hmm.
So everything's way more expensive, and the consumer has less money to spend on merch, which
Right.
is where the artist makes a lot of their money anyway. So it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
And yeah, gas is just so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Food is so expensive. Hotels are so expensive. It all just really adds up. This is the economics portion of it.
Right. Well, I was just thinking, especially because since you're playing with MXPX tonight, and I listen to Mike Carrera's podcast, and he talks about that stuff on his podcast regularly.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And especially like even with this show, he was talking about like they release tickets in batches now, especially since MXPX has so much control over themselves now.
Yeah.
And they don't rely on as many outside parties.
Yeah.
They release their tickets in batches so that the bots don't detect a big sale and then buy them up.
Yep.
And then they start reselling them for more than anyone involved is going to see.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like such an easy problem to fix if Ticketmaster really wanted to.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to, is they really don't want to, because I think they're just they're selling the tickets very quickly, and that's all that matters.
Right.
So, I mean, you could just not allow people to resell tickets.
Right.
You could transfer them.
Or resell them for exactly the
resell them for exactly the price,
right.
Or just, let them go. Like,
right.
Put them back into the
allow refunds.
Market. Yeah, refunds. I mean, it seems like such an easy problem to fix, but MXPX is doing it right. I mean, it just, the way that they operate, you just have to be, like, Mike's a hustler, man. I mean, he works really, really hard, and you have to, you just have to want to do that as your full-time life, which he does great at it. He's had a great career at it.
I love their whole business model. I'm like, I wish all my favorite bands had their business model.
Yeah.
With the live streams and the podcast and then doing all their own shows.
Yep.
He referred to this show on his podcast tonight as like a mini MXPX festival.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
Yeah, it seemed to me like maybe this is something he's going to try to build off of for an annual thing.
Okay.
I think so. Is it just a show? Or
there's no name for it.
There's no name for it. Yeah, I didn't know if he had named it or not. But
I think there might be a tagline that I can't remember now, like Takeover or Hollywood Takeover or like something like that. But it hasn't been on every advertisement. I've been getting so many ads for the show too.
Oh, cool.
Every time I open Spotify, because I haven't listened that much Smoking Popes, but I listen to Jake, Ryan K, MXPX like weekly.
Yep. So
it's like, you want to go to this show, and I'm like, I got the ticket.
I know. I wish there was a way that you could tell the advertisers like, I'm already going, so they don't have to waste impressions.
And I don't want to say, not interested in this ad, because then you don't get similar ads that you do want to see.
Yeah.
I did a whole...
This is the advertising portion of the podcast.
On Facebook, I got so annoyed with... I mean, this is completely unrelated to music or anything, but just I was annoyed with ads that generally were correct to my demographic. Like, generally, that is stuff I'd be interested in. But I just kept playing not interested. And I started getting really weird stuff.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, we can't figure out who you are.
Right.
So I started getting, and sometimes like disturbing stuff, like skin cream ads that had like horrible looking images. And I'm like, funny. I was like, okay, I've totally messed up my algorithm in the worst way possible.
Yeah. I know. You got to be careful what you click on or what you don't.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, overall, really had a good time with those festivals, and I don't know. I mean, this is the only show we have booked this year.
Oh, really?
So there's nothing else for the moment.
Well, you know what everyone else is looking for.
I do. I assume it's probably new merchandise, right?
Yes.
New music.
Yeah.
I have heard some pieces of songs that Matt has written, and I don't know what he's going to do with them.
Right.
Every once in a while he'll play a song and say, "Oh, this would really work as a Reliant K song," or he'll play a song and say, "Yeah, this isn't a Reliant K song."
Right.
But there's nothing official.
Yeah.
I think Matt has a lot of songs in him.
Right.
There's a lot of songs he's been working on for a long time, and I think it's bound to happen that there's going to be music, but there's nothing officially in the works right now.
Yeah, but I figured that's everything you just said about New Reliant K music is what I figured it had to be. It's like one of two things. Either a new album is secretly in the works and no one wants to talk about it, or everything's just kind of coalescing slowly everything's coming together, just like just like for any other band, like songs are being worked on, stuff. Like I wouldn't assume that Matt Thiessen has ever stopped writing songs.
Right, exactly.
Because I also know that, speaking of Mike Herrera, I know like from the little bits I've talked to him, but then mostly I know people who are like talk to him all the time, and they're like, he's never not writing songs. And I learned he has like a massive song file book of like, because I counted up all of MXPX's songs, and they're like almost 400 published songs.
Yeah.
And then a friend of his was like, oh, he's got way more than that. Like, never finished or ready to go. Or
so for instance, there was a song that, because this January is 19 years I've been in the band.
Oh yeah.
And there are like pieces of songs that I always really, really liked that Matt never finished.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always, every time we get together, I'm like, hey, what about that one? And I'll just kind of like, hum it, and he'll be like, oh yeah. And I did that recently when we were at a rehearsal, and he played more of it than, like, he played new parts to it.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, that's so interesting that, like, I've been hearing the song over, almost 2 decades evolve into, and I finally heard a new piece of it,
Right.
So I know he's writing, and I know he's, I think the long answer is like, sure, there's always stuff in the works.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on how official people think or don't think it is.
Right.
And it really hasn't ever been super official. It's like once Matt gets a batch of songs, then just make a record.
Right.
So I think it'll happen. I just don't know when. He's just chilling back there.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He's 6 months. He just turned 6 months on the 30th.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So cool.
He's great. He's fantastic. You didn't really get to see him much yet, right?
Yeah. See the back of his head here. Liam he turns 16 in a couple weeks, and I'm really bummed about this. But Liam, his band is playing their very first show ever tonight.
Oh.
And so luckily they have another one on the 27th that I'll get to see, and my wife's going to film it tonight and send it to me. But yeah, he's playing his first show ever tonight with his band, which is pretty cool. He's a drummer.
I didn't realize he's 16.
He will be.
He will be 16.
He will be later this month.
Because he discovered us early on.
Yep.
And so he was like 11, I guess, then when we started.
Was it that long ago?
Because we're coming up on our 5th year as a podcast.
Oh, wow.
Well, no, we're in our 5th year, and so we're coming up on our 6th. No. I figured this out, and then I got confused, and I compared it to Korean birthdays. how you're when you're born, you're 1 year old.
Right.
In Korea. I can't remember what it is now. I think we're in our 5th year, coming up on our 5th anniversary.
Okay, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know if he listens anymore.
What?
What I mean is, he listens to every episode.
I'm just kidding.
No, it was that.
No one's under any obligation ever to. I know he's still like stuff on social media occasionally.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was in that interesting phase of like discovering the band on his own.
Right.
So he sort of consumed every piece of media that he could get that had anything to do with Relient K.
Right.
Which is really fun.
You told us a hilarious story, and I think I heard you told it somewhere else. Oh, you might have told it to Josh, the other Relient K podcast. Did you talk to him? No.
I don't know. I don't think I did.
Okay,
I did. I don't know.
I swear you told it to someone else. I might edit this part out. To be trying to figure who
I only have one story. So
yeah.
I don't know what you're going to say.
You told the story where he discovered Relient K. Or no, you were trying to tell him. This is it. Okay, I remember the story now. You were trying to tell him you were in Relient K, and you did you were on the Jay Leno show, and you were on Conan O'Brien, you were on Jimmy Kimmel, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, well, these are on YouTube, and he's like, you're on YouTube?
You're right, yeah, I remember that.
And then after the first time you were on our podcast, he DM'd us. It was like, that story's not true.
That story is 100% true.
This is like a parent kid thing.
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
I know this thing. I've seen this happen. This has definitely happened in my life with my dad,
That's
and I've
funny.
seen it happen with my friends and their dads.
Yeah. No, he that is true. He because they don't watch TV.
Right. Yeah,
You
we
know
don't
what I mean?
we don't really either.
My girls are getting into TV shows via like Netflix or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're watching the whole Full House, like the old Full House now.
Okay.
But I mean, they only watch like YouTubers.
Right.
So yeah, that was a true story. He was like, "Wait, you're on YouTube?"
I
Yeah, it was.
I'm probably right on the like I'm an exennial, right? So
Yeah.
I'm right on the cusp of would I still have cable or would I not? And I went with I don't have cable anymore, and I was an early adopter of cord cutting. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
I was an early-ish cord cutter for my generation because I moved to New York in 2007 to try to work in film, and it was just not an expense that was worth having,
Right.
especially when I'm trying to like be on film sets and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I going to come home and watch cable and pay for cable when I'm not going to be home? I want to be working.
Right.
So I got used to in 2007, and that was like the most nascent, like early version of YouTube, and like what was even on, I don't even know what was on YouTube in 2007. I think it was still like a 20-minute limit,
Right.
and somehow that's what I used for entertainment every night.
That's funny.
And now there's so much on YouTube. There's full feature-length movies. There's like 10-hour movies.
I love the idea that I'm still thinking about the idea of Liam DMing you and
Maybe with some particular detail in the way that
yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah, it's so funny. He's that sounds exactly like something he would do. It's fun though. Connecting with him over music is fun. He came to the Is for Lovers festival with us, and yeah, it was fun. We watched Meat World, and it's funny, like the bands that he likes and the bands that he doesn't like. You know, some of them he'll really latch on to, and some of them that I really love, he's like, it's not for me.
right. Did you try to nurture a love for rock music with him, or did it come about on its own?
No,
I'm thinking about this for our kid.
Yeah, no, it kind of came about on its own. I mean, it was really when he started playing drums.
Oh, okay.
Once he started playing drums, like really playing drums, he got into rock music because it was, he just liked playing rock drums. So.
Right.
And then I think he just proximity to the band, he got into Reliant K, and then he was like, oh, there's other bands that are sort of in the Spotify recommends, you may like
Right.
Yellow Card, or you may like whatever, and so he's gotten really into Yellow Card. He's into and he's also really into grunge music,
Okay.
which is cool. Pearl Jam and Nirvana and STP and things like that, which I take 100% credit for influeing him.
Did you introduce that stuff to him?
Yeah.
See, I'm worried. Like, what do I introduce Cooper to? And then he's like, "That's lame."
Here, I'll pull up Spotify because he has taken over my Spotify. So I'll tell you.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you.
I just want to double check the recording. We're still good. Okay.
So Mama, Slow Pulp. Trying to figure out what he's been listening to.
Are you connected to Last FM? Have you ever used it?
I'm not. No.
You know those grids that everybody shares on social media?
Yeah.
Like, here's what I listened to on Friday. You have to connect your Spotify to a Last FM account, which is free, and it scrabble. They call it, the Scrabble thing.
Yeah.
They call it scrabbling. And it'll whatever you've always listened to, it's going to pull your entire Spotify history.
Yeah.
It's not just going to do from the day you sign up, because Jessica never had it.
Yeah.
And she signed up for it recently because she was jealous of everyone's 5x5 grids. She's like, how do I do this? And I'm like, you got to get a Last FM. But now I'm thinking, if you get a Last FM, you can watch from Last FM what is he listening to.
So here's Liam's most recent playlist. It's Slaughter Beach.
Okay.
Is that it? It's Slaughter Beach? Ollie Vox, Two Door Cinema Club, Black Keys, Frank Iero, Nightmare of You, Libertines, Mom Jeans, Pup, Nirvana, Paramore, The Beatles, Sophie She, Is it she or shy? She? I don't know.
That's the first band that you mentioned that I don't know.
Okay, The Neighborhood, Seal, Slow Pulse.
He just Seal
yeah, Kiss from a Rose is on there. Wilt, Slow Pulse, Arctic Monkeys. We went and saw Arctic Monkeys this year, which was fun. Mama, Holy Drug Couple, Slow Pulp, Budge. Budge is a local band that I love to death. Boa, Title Fight, Wunderbar. So I don't know what he's into. I don't know half those bands because I'm old, but
I knew everything up to whatever you said the first time.
Yeah,
that I didn't know.
Yeah, so he's into cool music.
That's a great playlist for everything I know, though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's into good music, which is good.
What is Cooper loves Ozzy Osbourne and Megadeth.
Nice.
Because I also got into Megadeth. I had never listened to thrash metal. I only listened to Anthrax. I never liked metal in general, especially when metal was huge and metalcore was huge in the 2000s. Like when I was listening to Relient K, just for some reason I didn't like really heavy music.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, or right before the pandemic, I was like, I never got into metal. I really got to get more than just a handful of bands that I kind of listen to. I got to try some stuff. And I just gravitated to Megadeth because it sounded to me like what metal music was in the 80s and 90s when my parents were like, don't listen to this.
Right, I know.
More than Metallica, because Metallica does too much else, right? They have too many other concepts and sounds.
Yep.
So anyway, because of that, I got Jessica into Megadeth, and then we would listen to it when she was pregnant with him, and he always seemed to calm down in her stomach when we were listening to early Megadeth. Funny.
I used to work with this company, and the bassist for Megadeth was the artist rep. He was he worked for them, and so I got to kind of be friends with the. I don't know. I think he's still the bassist for Megadeth, David Ellison. But yeah, I thought they were always pretty cool.
And I took when we were pregnant, when Jessica was pregnant, when we were pregnant, whatever. We went to see.
That's another festival that's coming up. We're playing that next year. When we were pregnant.
When we were pregnant. You asked us earlier before we started recording, like what shows we've been to, and I could not remember. Yeah. But there was one show we went to, a free show in downtown Long Beach. It was Fishbone and Voodoo Glow Skulls.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, I want to take Cooper to see Fishbone while you're still pregnant with it, because that's one of my top 3 favorite bands is Fishbone. But apparently he really hated the Voodoo Glow Skulls.
That is funny.
Because she could feel him trying to hide in her spine.
He was growing further. I was like, oh, this is so uncomfortable.
Oh my
God. And now I'm because I'm such a ska nerd, I'm like, and I don't even Voodoo Glow Skulls aren't even. I like to enjoy their music, but they're not a top ranked one of my favorite ska bands. I'm like, what if the Voodoo Glow Skulls ruined ska for him before he's even born? And when I'm trying to play it, he's going to hear that rhythm. He's going to hear the offbeat, and he's going to be like, no, something's wrong. I'm in danger.
Yeah. There was
just too loud.
Yeah, I bet.
Because they were way louder than Fishbone.
Yeah, Fishbone did one of the Warped Tours we were on.
Oh, cool.
And I don't remember which one it was, but what's the guy's name that's in Fishbone?
Angelo Moore.
Angelo, that's him. Yeah. He was such a nice dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we hung out with him a lot.
Oh, cool.
He and Ethan got to be really good friends. Maybe they were friends from Southern California or something? I don't know.
Oh, maybe they could have. Oh, you know what? They might have been because... Supertones, but also Angelo Moore, and Angelo Moore was featured on Dingy's album.
Oh,
and Ethan was in the Dingy's.
Maybe that's what it was.
I think they all just knew each other.
They all kind of knew each other. Yeah. They went back. Yeah, but he was so nice. They were a fun band.
Yeah,
haven't seen them in years.
And they still play. I meant to say all his solo stuff, and I've never been. As long as I've been here, I see him doing solo shows, and he has another band called The Brand New Step. Okay. And we never make it. One time he was 20 minutes, not even 20 minutes. He was 10 minutes down the road from us at a bowling alley.
Oh, wow.
And I just missed it. I just saw it on the schedule after it happened.
That's fun. That's awesome. Oh, there's Grace.
We're 20 minutes away now.
We are playing at the Palladium. I texted Grace earlier today, and I was like, "Oh, I totally forgot to tell you that we were going to be in town."
Grace who?
Similar. Grace Baldwin.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I didn't. When we had her on the show, she was on our podcast, but
cool.
Just during the TikTok thing that you did with her.
Oh, right.
It was before the tour, and then when the tour was announced, I reposted the interview. And at the time, now I know her as Semler, but at the time I was confused on what to call her. I was like, do I call you Grace? Do I call you Grace Baldridge? Do I call you Semler? Because every individual project she had, especially at that time, had a different set of her 3 names.
Yeah.
So I was like, what am I supposed to call you? Now I just think Semler because I listen to her music and there's a profile. But at the time I was like genuinely didn't. And I think she said call me Grace, but since then it's just Semler in my head because of the Spotify profile.
Yeah, she was just in Nashville recently. She did she does this thing every year where she crashes the Dove Awards.
Oh, right.
And she went with Flamey Grant, who's like a drag queen that
she did an AMA on Twitter. I think it still was Twitter at the time. It wasn't X yet.
Grace did
on the last one.
Flamey Grant did.
Grace did.
Okay, gotcha.
And she was like, I'm here, AMA. And I replied, what's the... Oh, no, she said at a party. She's like, I'm at a party now, AMA. And I said, what's the food like? And she said, it's good.
That's funny. Yeah, I saw her. We went and hung out after she went to the Dove Awards that night. And went to a restaurant there. It was fun. Yeah. There's so many people that live in LA that I don't remember who all lives here.
All right. You remembered we lived here.
I did, yes.
Hit us up for a ride.
Where do y'all live? Like what part of?
Sherman Oaks.
Okay.
And I totally didn't just edit out the real town and just give the bigger town that's right nearby. But we live near Sherman Oaks.
Gotcha.
So it's really easy to get to the airport when the traffic isn't insane like it was getting out. It was actually much easier getting to you than it was leaving the airport.
Yeah.
And we had nothing planned for the first part of the day other than maybe still repacking from our Florida trip.
Oh, nice.
So when you asked if this is possible, I said absolutely, and
Yeah, I know you'd mentioned meeting up, so I thought this would be a fun way to do it. Man, LA has such a vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It really does.
My number one thing, though, and I'm only thinking about this again because we just came back from Florida, is that I just find lunch sucks in LA.
Yeah.
Like, if you can find the place, that's great. But when you're almost anywhere else, Florida, everywhere I've lived, Massachusetts, Florida, we lived in Chicago for a year. Like, you can just go to any place, and there's like a 2 in 3 chance it's going to be a pretty good lunch for a reasonable price. But in LA, you like have to hunt to find like a good lunch.
Yeah.
Because like I've never been to that place. I'm just pointing at an enchilada place. Yeah. I'm like, they're probably not very good. You look at a place like that if you've never been to LA and you're like, oh, that place must be really good. And then you go there and it's not very good.
Yeah. They have a family pack though.
Yeah. It must have gone up in price recently because they taped over the old price.
Yeah, soon y'all will be looking for the family pack meals.
Yeah.
You'll say, what has free kids night on Wednesdays and what has free kids night on Tuesdays? And that's where you will eat,
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, we lived here for like 3 months when we were making 5 Score.
Right.
And it was definitely an experience, It was kind of like the best way to live in LA because we didn't have like jobs and everything was paid for.
Oh, yeah.
So we just sort of had like we kind of had allowance.
Right.
It was like we were really big teenagers.
Yeah.
And we lived right down the street from the Capitol building. Like you could walk to the Capitol building, walk to Hollywood Boulevard, right across from the ArcLight.
Right.
And every morning we did that record with Howard Benson, and he kept his studio like banker's hours.
Oh, okay.
It was like we will work from 10 to 2 every day and no more,
Oh, nice. And then you had a lot of extra time.
Yeah. So, and we had one car, so we had a one rental car that we had for the 5 of us. Mm-hmm. So we would always sort of just like take turns. Today is my day with the car, and if someone's spouse or girlfriend would come in, then they would take the car and go do things. But that was fun. It was a good way to like not have to. I can only imagine that the place that we lived was not cheap,
Right.
just based on where it is, you know.
Right.
It wasn't that big, but it was actually.
I mean, you're right in the center. You were right in the center of it, basically.
Yeah, John Morn lived in the closet of it. I remember.
Oh, really? Like
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
He did, yeah. And for some reason, he had his cat with him.
Oh.
And I don't remember why. I do remember there being a cat there, though. Yeah, there was like a really big walk-in closet.
Uh-huh.
And John was just like, I'm going to make this my room. So I don't know if it was a rollaway bed or he just grabbed a mattress or something and just put it in the big, huge walk-in closet and made it his little room. It was so funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was very Harry Potter-ish. He was ahead of his time there. Yeah, it was funny.
We've been here 10 years, and a ton has changed.
Yeah,
in the 10 since we first lived here, and I can't imagine what it was like in like 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
And our apartment has not doubled, but our apartment has like probably gone up 50% in 10 years, which is good because there's rent controls. But when I'm just thinking about, we were just saying about how expensive that place is, I'm sure it's skyrocketed. I'm sure when we move out of our place will double because we've been there for 10 years and they can only raise it so far until we move.
Yeah, I don't remember why we lived where we did. There was a place that the bands that worked with Howard usually lived, and it was like long-term hotel.
Uh-huh.
And it was kind of off the freeway somewhere.
Okay.
And not like, it was like in a complex off the freeway, so it wasn't like walkable at all.
Right.
And somehow we got the option to live there or live where we did, so we jumped at the opportunity to live right there in Hollywood, which was pretty cool. Yeah.
Was it recorded? Was Five Skull recorded in the Capitol building?
No, it was, I don't know what the studio was called, but it was wherever Howard Benson was working out of at the time. Yeah, my favorite story from that instance was Pearl Jam was my favorite band ever. Mm-hmm. They still are, but back then I was just like huge Pearl Jam fan.
Uh-huh.
And I'd never seen them play at the time. And they were playing at this little club not far from where we were. I forget what it was. Somebody's name. Do you know what the club is there on Hollywood Boulevard?
It's a name. It's a person's name.
Yeah, it's a person's. It's like
Viper.
No, not that
Roxy?
way. No, it's
Roxy is a name.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see.
The Laugh Factory.
I don't know. I'll have to.
I wonder if it's still there.
I'll figure it out. But anyway, so Pearl Jam was playing at this club, and they were playing a show the next day at the arena here in town.
Okay.
And they were doing this club show just for their fan club.
Oh, okay. And were you remember?
No, I wasn't. But I called one of the guys at our record label, our A&R guy, who's actually going to be there tonight. Our old A&R guy, his name's Jamie. And I was like, dude, is there any way you have any connections to get me into this show? And he's like, let me see what I can do. So it was the day of the show. Everybody else went out and did something that night. And I was like, I'm going to stay behind in case I get to go to this show.
Uh-huh.
And the show, I don't know, the show was at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night or whatever, but like 4 o'clock that day, he calls me. He's like, dude, I got you 2 tickets.
Oh, wow.
He's like, 2 tickets. He's like, I have them in my hand. He's like, I'm going to have them be at Will Call or something like that. And I was like, awesome. And I was like, thank you so much. This is so rad. I've always wanted to see Pearl Jam, and I get to see them at a club in LA for the first time ever. It's going to be so cool. So our manager was in town for some reason. So I was like, dude, do you want to go with me to this Pearl Jam show? So I call all my friends. They're like, dude, I'm going to go see Pearl Jam tonight. It's going to be so great.
Now this makes me nervous.
So we walk. we start walking. It's like a mile or 2 miles away from where our hotel was, but this is pre-Uber, so we're just like, well, we'll just walk there. So we leave like an hour early. We're walking down, and the whole time I'm just like telling all these Pearl Jam stories about how influential they were in my life, blah blah. So we get there. We stand in this huge line, because it was like something about it. It was to avoid resale. It was like will call only show or something like that.
Okay.
So we get up there, and I wait in line for probably 30 minutes, and we finally get up there, and I tell him, I'm trying to tell him my name and spell it, and she's like, show me your ID. So I hand my ID, and she's like, tickets aren't here. And I was like, come on. I was like, are you sure? I was like, and I start going into this story. It's like, yeah, like I'm in a band, and this guy from Capitol Records like say he's going to leave me tickets. She's like, I'm so sure, like, of course, yeah, you and everybody else did. So she's literally just like, go away. She's like, you are like, they're not here, go away. So we go there, and I go away, and I called Jamie, and I'm like, dude, what's up? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I put your name on them. I know, so anyway, so I was like, well, whatever, okay, so I guess, so we just left. A couple days later, we're meeting with some label people, and one of the guys from the label, who was like this, stereotypical label dude, was bragging about how he basically swapped will call names for these 2 Pearl Jam tickets and put his name on it and went to the Pearl Jam show. So one of the label guys was like, I don't know who this dude is. He's like, he's the VP of the Antarctic Capital. He's like, dude, I'm taking these tickets. So he put his name on the will call tickets and went to the show. And then inadvertently bragged about it in front of me.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
So I never got to, well, I've seen them many times since then.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was my story. That was a very long story.
And you didn't know, but as soon as you were telling me, I'm telling everyone I'm going. I'm telling everyone I'm going. I'm like, oh no.
I remember calling my buddy Jeff specifically, and just almost just like boasting, like, dude, you'll never believe what I'm gonna do. It was karma came to get me for boasting about that.
There's literally, Jessica, I don't know if you don't know this reference. We just made it on our Patreon, but this reminds me of the Dido song, the Christmas Day song. Yeah. We were talking about Christmas music on Patreon.
Yeah. And
there's a Dido song called Christmas Day, and I don't understand why this song exists. Because it's like whatever, like old-timey country, Ireland, England, somewhere, and a soldier comes through their village and needs a place to stay. It's near Christmas Day, and then he's with the girl, and it's debatable, do they sleep together or not, whatever. It's just a song, right? And then he's like, I'll come back for you on Christmas Day, and spoiler warning, he never comes back for her. But throughout the song, she's like going through the village and telling everyone, I found this soldier and I love him. And in the lyrics, she specifically says, like, my sister knows, my parents know, the preacher knows.
Oh my God.
So I'm having fun, and I hate this song. It's my personal, like, Red Shoes or whatever. That's Red Shoes.
Oh, yeah, your Christmas shoes, huh? I actually got Christmas shoes this year. That was my gift for, and every time someone mentions them, I always go, sir, I want to buy these shoes. Yeah, my kids got me a pair of Reebok pumps for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of Christmas shoes for Christmas, actually, from Jessica's parents.
Nice.
I got Sperry's.
Oh, nice.
Sperry boat shoes.
These are like grown-up shoes.
Yeah.
I got Reebok pumps. You got Sperry's, yeah. You're way cooler than me. The Fonda.
The Fonda. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was never gonna think that because I was thinking more like Rock Club.
I was thinking Henry Fonda. I don't know if that
Right.
Yeah.
is that Henry. Is it,
Yeah, I think
okay.
it is named after Henry Fonda,
Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of plays. It's mostly plays there.
In my
or at least
head,
now it is.
In my head, I was thinking Bob Hope, and I was like, I know
okay.
it's not the Bob Hope Theater, but it's some old timey
Right.
Hollywood person. So yeah,
I think that's
the
in
Fonda.
Culver.
No, it's right. It's
Oh,
right
it's
down,
here?
It's on Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, I'm thinking
yeah.
of a different. I'm thinking of a different theater named after
Yeah, it's right.
an actor. Then.
It was It's walking distance from where we were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the funny thing is we were. I'll show you this text here. Let's see here. So I told him that the tickets will be, and I go, I swear the tickets will be at Will Call. And he goes, walk right into that one, didn't I? That's the guy that every time we like if I ever go see Pearl Jam,
Right.
I'll be like, dude, I'm at Pearl Jam, and my tickets were right where they were supposed to be. This is like, however many years later. He's like, I still feel really bad about that. I think you should. Nah, he did his part. It was
Right.
It was a
You didn't. Did
terrible
you
guy
say
who
anything
stole
to the A&R guy that you?
no.
I wouldn't think you would, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was in a position to like size up the VP
Right.
of A&R of Capitol Records at the time, because we were just like,
But do you want plant power just while we're here?
Good.
Okay. That's like an all vegan.
are you a vegan?
Used to be, and then
Yeah.
when I was pregnant with him, they told me to stay away from like soy and
Okay.
stuff, and so I ended up incorporating meat back into my diet. But now
Gotcha.
I'm trying to like phase it out again.
Yep.
When I don't remember what term she was pregnant. She texted me at work, and she's like, first trimester. She texted me at work. She's like, "Can you bring home McDonald's?" And I thought she was kidding. I'm like, "There's no way you've eaten this."
Was that a pregnancy craving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she saw a McDonald's commercial, and she's like, "This is the first time I've seen a McDonald's commercial in like 5-10 years," and
Yeah.
wasn't grossed out.
And I was really I was just like had a horrible morning sickness, and it was
Oh,
like
man.
the only thing that sounded like it might stay down.
Yeah. I remember when Lindsay was pregnant with our third child. We were laying there. It was super late at night, and she's like, "I have to have Taco Bell." She's like, "Will you please go get me
Well, there it
Taco
is.
Bell?"
We're passing Taco Bell as he said.
I was like, she's like, "Will you please give me Taco Bell? I have to have it." And I was like, "All right, fine." I mean, it's like 10:30 at night or something.
Right.
So I drive there, go get Taco Bell, and I bring it in. And as soon as I walk in the house, she's like, "Oh my gosh, the smell is good." She's like, "Get that away from me! I do not want it." She's like, "Take it out of the house." So I literally took it out and threw it in the trash can outside. She's like, "I can't even have it in the house." So I went from a craving to like it totally was about to make her completely
revulsion.
Yep.
There's the arc light. So you must. So it's. I'm pretty sure you lived in where it says.
Yeah, right there.
The
Sunset.
Broadway Hollywood.
Yep.
Yeah, Sunset and Vine.
Yep, Sunset and Vine. That's where we lived. Yep, right up here on the left is where it is.
And that arc light's just been sitting there since the pandemic, empty.
Man. Yeah, this was our old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
I remember none of it, really.
Right.
Like,
Well, a lot of it's changed in 10 years. Like that Netflix building, we just passed it next to
Yeah.
McDonald's. That did not exist about 4 years ago, maybe
yeah.
less than that.
So-
we were still going to. Oh, you still need food, don't you?
Yep.
Okay.
So this Verizon right here, where it says Verizon, that's where you went in to get to our. And these like light green and tan buildings right here above, that's where we lived.
Cool.
Yep.
I forgot to readjust the GPS for your lunch.
That's okay. We're like a mile from it. I
Yeah.
just don't remember which way it is.
It's to the left.
That's left. Okay.
I'm going to merge back into traffic.
Yeah, right past this Verizon door, right where it says Orange Barrel Media.
Okay.
That door right there is where you went in to get to our place.
Okay. Did you have a view of the street out here, or were you interior?
It was interior.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Because I think at one point after you told us that you lived here, we figured out.
Oh no, that was it right there.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
1555 Vine Street.
Oh,
that was
okay.
it right there.
Oh, okay.
That was the door we went in. Yep. That's where we lived. And the only celebrity thing I remember is there was like a mail thing like old school, just like the mail guy would just put mail into different.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't like guarded,
Right?
like anyone could just take it.
Oh,
And there was always stuff for Damon Wayans there.
oh,
So either he had an office there or he actually had a place there. I don't know.
oh. Okay.
Yeah, but on top of it is a pool, like a really nice like rooftop pool that we would go to sometimes. Yeah.
That's the old Amoeba Records.
Yep.
I refuse. They've been doing the Van Gogh exhibit in there, and I do want to see the interactive Van Gogh thing, where it's like a big digital. You like walk through Van Gogh paintings on digital things on the wall. But I refuse to go into that building like it's a corpse. Like I don't want to see what it looks like. It has to live in my mind as Amoeba Records.
Yeah,
and the new one's okay, but
we used to go in there all the time.
Yeah.
Anytime anybody would come visit us, we'd be like, let's go to Amoeba.
What I loved about that building was I could literally lose Jessica in there, and it'd be like I don't know where there's corners. Like I'm not gonna find her. The new one, it's nice, but like I can find her.
Yeah.
Because it's just one big rectangle now.
Gotcha.
And this had like 2 floors, all kinds of corners and coves.
Yep. Yeah, I was here. I went to VidCon. Do you know what that is? In Anaheim, and we drove down to Hollywood one day just to sort of just drive around. And it was on the day that they were having the Pride Festival on Hollywood Boulevard. And I'm driving through here, and I'm just like, why all the roads were closed and everything. And I was like, why is traffic so terrible? And then I was like, oh, that's why. There's a parade on all of Hollywood Boulevard was shut off.
And they close within blocks and blocks.
Yep.
So you can't like drive
all
a car.
These cross streets were closed,
We just tried to go to not this year because we were away, but last year we tried to go to the Hollywood Christmas parade, which is kind of cheesy. They air it. It's the one hosted by Eric Estrada.
Oh, cool.
It happens every year. It kind of looks, it doesn't look glitzy. It looks kind of cheesy and silly. It's independent. It's not like a big corporation or something or whatever. I've always wanted to go to it for that reason. And every year we miss it. And the one year we were like, oh, it's tonight. Do you want to go? And we got down here and everything. And it's not even like people are lining up to go to the Hollywood Christmas parade. It's not that big a deal. I'm sure it's fun. But you couldn't get anywhere near.
Yeah.
And so we're like, we can't even find parking because like 2 blocks out are completely barricaded off with like giant trucks. So you can't barrel through.
Yeah.
So we said, forget it. We're this close to seeing Eric Estrada in real life.
Yeah, you got to take those opportunities if you can get them.
Yeah.
You don't know how many more you have with him. He's not young anymore.
I think Cooper made a stink, so I'm just trying to air out a little bit. Sorry. Do you remember that smell?
I don't really smell it because I've got this air blowing right in my face, which is fine.
The In-N-Out's on the other side of the school right there?
Yep. Yeah, we used to crush this when we lived here. Yeah, I thought that was so cool. High school right in the middle of Hollywood.
The one of the guys from the Jimmy Eat Pop Song by Song podcast, who he also lives here. We know him in real life, and he went to school here.
Oh, cool.
And I can't remember. He's probably listening, but I don't know if I ever asked him. I was like, I can't believe anyone actually goes to that school because every time I visited, Hollywood before living here, it's like it looks like a movie, not a movie set, but it just looks like like when you're in a theme park, a facade. That's the word I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Okay, where are we turning in? Did you have other questions in your file? Jessica wrote down some questions.
No, I think everything is nice.
We just happened to talk about everything.
We touched on everything just by blabbing.
Yeah.
If you want to pop the trunk, I'll run up.
Okay. Real quick. You can pause the recording, Jess.
Okay.
Okay, you ordered your In-N-Out.
I got my In-N-Out, and I'm going to put it to my stories. So,
you can. No, you don't want to probably run.
I am
anything with your recording, Jess. But I was going to say you can upload this. You should upload the story while we took that break.
So yeah, Air for Free songs. I love playing Air for Free songs, honestly. God is one of my favorite songs. One of my favorite Relanke songs ever.
Because when we talked to you on our show originally,
I think
you were like only
Construction-
vaguely familiar with Air for Free at that point.
I hadn't really ever listened to the album.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. It took me a really long time, and then it became Liam's favorite Relanke record.
Okay.
So I started listening to it, and then I think Local Construction is honestly probably my favorite Relanke song ever.
Yeah.
It has become that.
I got to give it another try then.
I just love that song.
There's something about that song that never sat right with me.
Local Construction?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Everyone else loves it. Well, Jessica hates Deathbed, so. But Jessica hates Deathbed from an existential, like, not philosophical, because it's not like she disagrees or anything, but like can't take the intensity, can't take the confrontation of it. She doesn't think about the same things that song is about. But I just don't like Local Construction because there's something about. I think I don't need to get into it, but it's just something about the rhythm I never like enjoyed. Like the floaty thing. I don't know if floaty's the right phrase, but
yeah.
I gotta give it a try. Maybe I gotta be in the right headspace. I never allowed myself to be in the right headspace. Plus, I was always like, "What's local construction?" Because isn't all construction local to wherever it's happening?
Yeah, I think local construction. Not a Western term? Because that's like a pretty common. It's like a pretty common term where I come from.
Oh, okay.
Like it's a type of construction. Where it's just like fixing potholes, widening roads. Like that's like local construction, and then construction would be like building a building.
I see. Local construction is like roadworks, infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I know that phrase. Then I grew up in Boston.
Yeah, it might be kind of like a Midwestern, Southern, or I don't know.
And I lived in Florida for 3 years, but it's not like I paid a lot of it. I was in college.
Right.
So it's not like I was paying attention to that kind of stuff. I didn't like fully change my. What am I trying to say?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I just never heard that phrase. So I was like, local construction, like that's local. That like I'm pointing at the building they're constructing, like that's local. It's right there.
It is local to Orange and Sunset.
Yeah. And why would you wouldn't be concerned with that building if you're over in Anaheim? You wouldn't be concerned.
Yeah. No, like the work at the airport is local construction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I got the one-to-one, the simile or the metaphor, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Of it's about working on yourself. Like I understand that. So local, what's more local than yourself? I do understand that.
Yeah.
It's just the phrase local construction as a metaphor. If it didn't work for me in the real world sense, then I couldn't connect it to the metaphor.
Yeah.
But that's cool that you like that song. And I don't hate that song. There's very few, and we're very close to done with and the whole discography, and there's no songs that I like hate.
Yeah.
The only things I hate are.
I don't worry, you have a double with touchdowns. There's a pickle only, a fry and a large Diet Coke.
Yep.
11:33, please. Thank you.
The only thing that I ever really came down on is hating were like two of the joke tracks, the joke rap on Two Lefts. Thank you. And what's the other thing? Oh yeah, so neither album that you were involved with, but the Breakfast at Timpani's,
sure,
and the Silly Shoes rap.
Yeah,
those are the only things where I was like, this doesn't work. I hate this, and I never gave it that much thought until we had to like really piece into it. And I'm like, this doesn't work. Like if you shut your brain off and it happens to be playing, or if the hidden track hits you in the way that they were meant to hit you, like.
Hi, how are you? I have a large Diet Coke. Would you like any ketchup?
Yes.
You want to? Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, you're fine.
Oh, am I too loud? I might leave this in for people who have never been to Hollywood. I'm sure I'll release the uncut on Patreon.
Wow, someone's got to be really, really bored to listen to this uncut podcast. I mean that in the best way.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, thank you.
Love it. Thanks, man. Yep. Sweet. Listening to me chew.
Yeah.
On a podcast. Why not?
I've listened to enough podcasts where someone's too. I could never listen to do you ever try to listen to a food podcast?
No.
I could never take a food podcast. There's 2 different ones I tried, and they were both spin-offs of other podcasts that I listened to. One was Doug Benson, the comedian, like the weed comedian. He had Doug Loves Movies, and it's a podcast. It's one of the first podcasts I ever listened to in like 2010, and I've stuck with it forever. I actually only recently kind of stopped listening to it because I was like, after 14 years of listening to it, I finally was like, got over the format.
Yeah.
But he did a food podcast. I listened to all his podcasts. He had like 5 podcasts. I listened to his food podcast, and like, I literally can't take this.
That's funny.
So if you just want to chew, you can do that. Oh my gosh, this is an endless.
It's a whole tour group.
It's a whole tour group walking right through the parking lot.
So he said go to the Argyle Avenue entrance.
Okay.
And then there's vans. You'll see the vans. And there's just a door that I have to go into.
Okay. I wonder if I should go left. I don't want to make you conscientious about your food if you need to eat, so we can stop recording now. Was there anything else you want to mention? Anything you want to plug? Reliant K's playing tonight.
Yep.
This will not air tonight. This probably won't even air tomorrow. I don't have
We
time to
are
edit
playing
it.
tonight.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for the ride.
No problem. I guess we didn't say how this worked out, but I just like I posted the Instagram story telling all our listeners like, hey, I don't know, it's not going to be possible to pick one place for you all to meet.
Yep.
That just doesn't make sense. Downtown Hollywood's crazy. So why don't you all just if you want to meet us, open DMs. You can find out where we are when you're here.
Yep.
And then you DM'd me and was like, hey, well, you can pick me up from the airport. And
Yep.
then you later said you were half joking, but honestly, we didn't have anything else planned for today.
Yeah.
And all we usually do with our weekends is kind of drive around and go to businesses or go to parks and things. So
Yeah.
like this is just an extension of what we would normally do
Okay.
on a Saturday.
Well, thanks for the transportation.
No problem.
It was very helpful. I hope that it ends up being a good podcast.
I hope so. I'll make something out. Edit it down to like 5 minutes.
All right. See ya.